Greetings to all of you, and of course I welcome you to this broadcast. First off, it is so important that I hope that you can give us some feedback as to whether you're hearing me clearly and you're seeing both of us clearly. I'm here with our presidential candidate, Manzo Walton Desir, and I am Nigel London,
Prime
Ministerial candidate for Forward Ghana Movement. The wheel. Now please, the wheel matters in this case because we are here to speak to not a ton of events, but actually us going into the future knowing that the Forward Ghana Movement yet again is not just for the sake of clout, but for the understanding of being true patriots, or with the understanding we've approached the courts. And this broadcast will have more to do with the expertise of our presidential candidate in reference to making this matter simple enough for all Ghanaians to understand what is at stake. I'm so happy to know that we are courageous in reference to seeking to have the court, which is, I thought, the obvious thing to do, interpret law for us and make it very clear so what happens regarding this matter of the ballot. And before a presidential candidate speaks, I also want to say that as one who I consider myself to be a layman in reference to the legal sphere, my concern would have been why in 2025, why would someone have to approach the court to explain to them what, in my view, remember I'm not a legal minded, to say, well, if there's something called a national ballot or you have elections across the nation, which Guyanese should be disenfranchised in reference to choosing who should be? I needed, you all forgive me please, and please forgive me because I know I don't want my sister
it's appropriate.
in the most simple of terms. Why would a Guyanese think that I cannot choose what I want to choose? For me, that's what the case is about.
It's a question of conditioning.
Okay.
It's a question of institutionalized wrongdoing, because we've been doing the same thing for so long that we have come to accept it. It's also a question, Nigel, of the fact that this has never been an issue for the PPP or the PNC or APU. Right? It has never been an issue because for as long as we can remember, the two giants have always been able to field candidates. So this law and the apparent inconsistency or the apparent tension between the Representation of the People's Act and the Constitution has never been tested. And so it is entirely possible that without Forward Guyana that we could have gone on for some time without having this question tested.
Yeah, because sorry, I'm so sorry, but
no, please, go ahead.
Please forgive my enthusiasm. Honestly, I love to know.
Yeah.
I'm very nervous when I don't know something.
Right.
Because I believe that when you're ignorant, you're at the mercy of those who know. And in this case, I'm in good mercy because you won't hurt me.
There you go, yes.
But tell me, Madam Presidential Candidate, somebody who lives, because I want to give a backdrop as to what's happening with this matter. We were told that if you were to contest in 6 out of 10 regions, then you'll be on the national ballot. I thought that made common sense because for me, even if you're on one, and I'm not being that ridiculous in this case, if somebody's only in region 1 and they would like to be president of this country, I believe that every Ghanaian should have right to say whether they want that person or not. And that's what I think we lobby for the constitutional reform. But in this case, we were told 6 out of 10 be contested in 7 of the 10. It is my view, and I'm asking to repeat this to help me to really understand that somebody missed this for all these years. It is my view that if I'm living in a region that Forward Ghana Movement is not feeling a candidate for in the context of this argument, why can't another person in the street say, well, I want these people to lead me?
Right.
Isn't that a right of every Guyanese?
It is the right of every Guyanese. That is that's the right guaranteed by the Constitution, that you are entitled to vote for a leader of your choice. Now, to the degree that that choice is removed from you, it is a violation of the Constitution. This is a very narrow point, but germane to the entire thing, and I think this is why it was overlooked. Now, ROPA indicates that if you are to contest nationally, you have to qualify for a minimum of 13 seats or a minimum 6 districts.
Right.
No, you've got to choose your 6 districts because it has to amount to more than 13 seats. So
Correct.
13 seats or more.
Correct.
And having met that requirement, then is when you are allowed to participate nationally. Now, you know what is strange? GECOM's graphic, if you remember that graphic,
Yes.
it says exactly that. That all of the parties, including the ALP, which only participated in 6 rather, they met the requirement, and so they had that graphic with the highlights for who were participating
Yes,
nationally. You remember that?
I remember that.
And everyone else in the geographical constituency. So it stands to reason that if they're saying a minimum requirement for you to participate nationally is this and you meet it, you should participate nationally. Now again, this has never been questioned because the two giants have always been able to do this with their eyes closed. And this is what we're talking about. As Guyana's political landscape evolves, as we become a developing country with resources like we've never had before, we cannot go forward into our future with these things not being made very, very clear. And so GECOM, somewhere along the line, took a decision. But well, the reality is that up until 2020, GECOM has never really had to take that decision.
No decision. That's true. That's quite true.
Because everybody, APNU, AFC, for the longest while, and this bears out what Barry Jagdeo says, well, this is what we did in 2020. So he has no effective counter for it. So he comes with that's what happened in 2020. Does not mean that it was right. Right? And in fact, what they did was those people who were not on the ballot called and said, oh, vote for that person, vote for that person.
Yes.
And again, that's a problem because I must vote for who I want to vote for.
Exactly.
You know, so this is groundbreaking in and of itself, and I'm so proud of our candidate for saying, no, I live in Region 9 and I can't vote for myself. And this don't make no
right
sense.
there, yeah.
She's like, no, something is wrong. I read the law. And she persisted and she said, you know what? She said, I can't accept this. My family can't vote for me and I'm a candidate.
Yeah. And in case y'all miss this, and forgive me for laughing, but I find that certain things when I get mad, I laugh, honestly. People know me as a boy who tell you that. Whenever it's the fight, I laugh. It gives me the controlled space.
Yes.
A candidate from Forward Ghana Movement who lives in Region 9 is told essentially by the Guyana Elections Commission that you can't vote for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Basically. And that makes sense to somebody in this country called Barra Jagdeo and
Right.
others.
Right.
That makes perfect sense to these people. That if, I would like to think, her
Yeah.
family would support her.
Yeah.
And even if they were not, they're saying that if you live in Region 8 and you're a candidate, you couldn't even vote for yourself in this election.
Notwithstanding that you want to support another party nationally.
Right.
And what Jagdeo got up there and said to the people, and Sanjeev Dattinen and all of them, said to the people that, oh, you were trying to get through the back door because you didn't put up candidates in those regions. But okay, that might have been appropriate had Roper not named the minimum standards.
Exactly.
So it is like saying to get into this room, you gotta meet this requirement. And now we're in the room and they say, you're gonna stand up in the corner there.
So changing as
Let the big boys play over
yeah,
here.
Right.
And that is inimical to everything that we understand about constitutional rights, about universal adult suffrage, one man, one vote, etc. And so, you know, we were in court this morning.
Yes.
If we want to get to
Yes.
the issue, because the attorney for the applicant, Mr. Vivian Williams, flew in overnight. He arrived here early this morning, and he was before the courts. We have adjourned to tomorrow. I will let the Guyanese public know this, that Anu Landlal spent a very long time blustering over this case on his program, his
Yes.
news in the news.
Yes.
He had a feeling, and then he slithers into the court this morning to say that he is intervening in the matter.
Tell them what that means, please.
Intervention
bring it
means
down for
that
us.
you want to appear in the matter.
Anil wants to appear in this
Anil
matter.
wants to appear in the matter.
A matter that's
Now you
frivolous.
explain what Anil's business is in this matter.
Before we get to Anil, because I have to process it before I talk about Anil. Anil is a very, very unique creature when it comes to his behavior. And that's not a compliment, by the way. Our attorney, the attorney for the plaintiff, had to fly into Guyana.
Mm-hmm.
I am aware,
Mm-hmm.
because I appeared virtually in legal matters before. Why would our attorney have to, in this case for the representative, why would he have to fly into this country?
Because
and she's from Region 9, sorry.
She's from Region 9.
Why did she have to come through the trail?
She had to come through the trail. She had to come through the
Why
trail.
not virtual?
Because the Chief Justice refused a virtual hearing. So our candidate had to get on the bus
Wow.
and ride through that trail, and y'all see what's happening with the trail.
Oh, wow.
And she got here, she was able to get some rest. He flew in, and we're here. So this is not play, this is people putting out effort because they believe in what they're fighting for.
That's so critical.
And I am so proud of their commitment to this. You know, a lot of people would want to dismiss this as nuisance factor. And before we go into the case, I want to
Yes.
talk about these psychological issues that
Yes, please.
the games that we sometimes see the usual politicians playing with our people. You have got to want your people to be enlightened, to be informed, and to be. I am not interested in leading unenlightened folks. No, I'm being very, very serious.
That's critical.
Because if you are going to govern a nation, you want the best for your people. And wanting the best for your people means that they must understand, they must be active citizenry, they must understand what their rights are and challenge us. You're not doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
Hold us to account. But there's this paradigm in Nigeria where they want to keep people in darkness, in ignorance.
You just repeat what the leader says, and then you're considered to be a good
You just
person.
repeat, yes.
But that's actually the nature of a cult. In the
Yeah,
bad
that's
sense
the
of the word.
nature of a cult.
Called
Yeah.
PPP.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you straight, cutting no corners here. And permit me to do this, when Irfan Ali could say, in a fact finding and an information sharing age, that the PPP is giving Guyanese free education at University of Guyana, that to me was the epitome of what I call disrespect. Because who doesn't know
He's dishonest.
that Barrett went to university for free at the expense of the PNC of us, not PNC.
That's
Right?
fair.
On the, right.
That's fair.
And to now say, listen, we giving you free education, and the painful part of it, they're supposed to repeat that.
Well, and this is the point. You know what is more troubling is that I see people that I credit with a modicum of intelligence,
Right.
repeating these things. These things. They wouldn't say they're reinstituting it. They wouldn't
Right.
say we're reintroducing it.
Yeah.
And that type of attitude has to be called out, because the development of a nation is directly tied to the psyche and the development of its people. And we cannot allow ourselves to be reduced to sycophants and expect to live and inhabit an egalitarian society where our people are equal, they're equal before the law, etc. A lot of people may say, oh, it is utopian and it is naive, but the reality is the great civilizations that we admire around the world today, Nigeria didn't just become that way.
No.
They had to aspire, they had to dream, they had to see themselves as being worthy and better. And so, I know that a lot of opposition parties should actually be joining this matter, because there is clearly scope here. A lot of them will say, oh, the courts, they get done, the courts can rule one way anyway. And my question to them would be, so what do we do? Do we lay down and die? Do we lay down and allow ourselves to be rolled over? Because that type of resignation.
And that brings us back to Anil and the importance of what you were spoken to, whereby every Guyanese must have the right. And I love the fact that our candidate, by the way, is a female. And I'm a man saying this because it's important. Forward Ghana movement has got women with courage. Very much so. And prepared to do not just stand up at a rally and say something. This is where somebody is doing something that is going to be groundbreaking, pioneering. It will change history in Guyana regarding this situation. And this young lady from Region 9 is here because of the fact that you've championed this. Every Guyanese has the right to approach the court for relief and for there to be clarity and justice. Mm-hmm. And that's what's happening here. So for any leader of in this nation to say to a Guyanese in reference to this situation, listen, you're wasting your time, to me it's an insult and it's disrespectful. Now you've been in Parliament, you've been representative of the people, so maybe you can take it from that angle, but I'm just saying from the outside. Mm-hmm. I don't believe anyone is qualified to tell the Guyanese that they should not go to the court, mm-hmm. especially for constitutional matters, to say, I feel as if I'm being violated and you need to defend my right to do this.
And in fact, the court itself upholds that view, because there was a matter brought by Christopher Jones in the matter of the parliamentary secretary.
Yes.
And the court, in the local court here, they imposed some hefty costs. And the CCJ vacated the costs, and they said in that case that matters of constitutional interpretation approaching the courts, it's considered public service.
Yes.
And therefore should not be hampered by a fear of excessive and punitive costs being imposed. And they vacated the order as to costs. They say everybody bear their own costs. Now, Anil Nandlal, and look, Nigel, you see, this is why I get upset. Anil Nandlal as the Attorney General, and I will say this, there is something else wrong here.
Right.
Because he is a candidate in the upcoming elections.
Yes.
And so we're going to have to interrogate this even further.
There. Yes.
And here now,
we're going there.
Listen, we're going to interrogate it. They will hate to see us coming, but we have to do this because for too long we have been told that this is the way it has been, this is the way it must be, and y'all don't have no other report. And we disagree. So this issue comes up for arguments tomorrow. And we have to understand that as people of Guyana, as Guyanese citizens, we have to be patient and understand what exactly is happening. There's something like the inconvenient truth.
Yes.
And the truth is that very often people would just wish these things would go away because it's very inconveniencing, because it requires us to stop and take a hard look at our reality in this country and the reality that we are living in. And that is that you have a government that doesn't believe that its authority ought to be questioned, or Jagyo believes that he could sit down on Thursday and decide what the law is and what the law isn't. And so you have Anil Nandlal dismissing the case, frivolous, vexatious, precious, that concatenates into colossal, Anil likes to just pull words.
Right.
But here he is intervening in the case. And this is why I suspect he intervened. Because an intervention is somebody coming to say, I have an interest in this case and so I want to participate. Now that is a separate, so this frivolous, vexatious, precious case, and it wants to intervene in.
Wow.
But here was the kicker. The kicker is, the intervention in and of itself is a proceeding.
Right.
And so we're sitting there listening, and the lawyer for the applicant said, he's not going to object to the intervention. I think Anil wanted him to object to the intervention, because you know what that would have meant? There would have had to have been a separate hearing on the intervention. Then the lawyer for the applicant would have had to file arguments. Anil would have come to file, and he would have taken his own sweet time and dragged this thing on after the 1st of September. And then they would tell us it has to come to an elections petition.
And that shows the quality of leadership that you have.
That is what they wanted to have done.
So viewers, you've heard. And I said, because this is an attorney speaking, our presidential candidate wears so many hats, but the good one is that she is sitting here as an attorney in this case, and then she flipped in another segment as president candidate. So Barrett can't do that. That's why I like this. Irfan, listen. You don't even try. So sit this morning where you are and listen to someone who spent not 2 weeks, not 2 years, not 2 years. We were actually, I remember we were in UG together and sat in a few law courses. Yes.
20.
Yes, I remember the other day that I had to do some law courses and you were there when I was doing practice sciences. Peter Britton and
yes, Peter Britton did criminal law. And I took a decision very early that I didn't like the trial story.
Right.
I didn't have the patience, and I was worried that I'd be found in contempt because I
Right.
couldn't do the go today, come tomorrow.
Right. So, but the foundations were laid, and that's what I'm making this point. That you're able to explain to us what intervention means.
Mm-hmm.
So when Anil or the media will say, well, Anil Nandlal said he intervenes, we want to tell you what it meant. That the same man who says that this is just nonsensical scientific data, he said this is a waste of time, you'll have no sense, essentially your horse racing in here.
John Dale said that we were looking for attention. A man's wants attention.
No,
I'm gonna
wants,
get a t-shirt, hashtag seeking attention.
Seeking attention.
We're gonna do that. We're gonna print
so you
that.
want attention, Anil wants intervention. Anil had to go to listen.
Everybody
I
wants
have
a
an interest in this.
shirt.
Anil said he has an interest in this matter.
Has an interest.
In the High Court, before the Chief Justice acting, Anil said that he has an interest in this matter. What's the interest? Because I also have something that I'd like you to speak to. Mm-hmm. And this is where I'm actually put on the hat of the presidential candidate, where the Guyana Elections Commission is already in the electoral process because the defense and the military and others have voted. So I saw an attorney and I was sitting there in the court saying, now who's representing GECOM?
They are the Gosai chap.
So I asked them, have they employed this person? Because I know they were seeking, according to the last I heard, they were looking for a legal. So how do you have an election process that is so sensitive as this one? And GECOM does not have a legal office.
Because GECOM fired the last legal officer because they didn't like his advice. And actually, when you read what the legal advice of that legal officer was, it is making the exact point we're making here. You know?
Yes.
When he said there are literally 3 elections in one.
And he was fired.
And he was fired. So they don't have a legal officer. I suspect that what they will do is retain legal counsel. And therefore, if they're not happy with that legal counsel, fire legal counsel and retain another one.
Madam Presidential Candidate, how do these Guyanese wrap our minds
This
around
is why people laugh at us. And I'm not gonna split words here. This is why the people in the region don't respect us. Because we condone foolishness.
This is crazy.
No,
man.
Nigel, are you seeing Jamaican elections?
I'm following.
Have you been seeing the quality of the debates where people come and they debate? We have been calling for debates. Nobody is stepping up to the plate, but they're cussing over a podium. What is that? Why can we not stand in front of the people of Guyana and deliver on substantive issues and demonstrate that we are people worthy of leading Guyana because we have the banality is what we continue to feed the people of Guyana. And we have to continue to say you cannot relegate yourself to such a people get the government that they deserve. And if we believe that we deserve good governance, then we have to act like we understand that and vote accordingly.
And permit me to say so, if I may, and those of you viewing, I have a right to say. I am humbled, I am honored, I am privileged to have the likes of you stepping into a new sphere to say we will do what is new. And we will champion a cause for Guyanese that's different. And and I don't say the right way she is. What our presidential candidate is bringing to Guyana is a different culture politically. And it makes people uncomfortable because you don't cuss down, as my father said. My father, he loves you, and I'm asking for that. Please give him back to me after these elections. If you're watching, we have 7 more days, and then I get my father back. But what he spoke to, and I heard his interest and his pain, both. My father is 70 plus years old, and he said he remembers for all of these years that our elections, apart from Barnum Manigault, of course, that excellent power to deals, but he remembers how we plummeted to what he called this gutter nature, and you just cuss out, and Barrett made it 10 times worse. And he's saying that when he looks at you, when he hears you speak, there's hope again. That Ghana can have class and quality. Well, I'm his son, so he has to tell me something nice about me in public. I'm speaking to you here, right? And it concerns Daddy to know things like this, whereby you have GECOM without a legal advisor in a process that requires the law being applied, the law being interpreted, and GECOM being the commissioners and others being counseled to say, no, you can't do that, you can do this, no, you're not allowed to do that. They don't even have that.
But you know,
and it bothers him.
But you know, and he's right to be bothered, but here was distress me, that they are right thinking citizens that don't see a problem with that because it is the party they are supporting doing it.
Oh my God.
And you know, when I ask in Parliament, what do we want? We want change or we want exchange? Because you know what I have found? I don't know why this conversation going like this, but maybe it has to.
Yes.
Some people are okay with the atrocities, you know, as long as they're the ones doing it,
yes,
and as long as they're not the ones on the receiving end. And it means we have to look at ourselves and look at the soul of this nation. Because you can't be okay with it being done, period. And so there are people who you credit with some modicum of depth that will either not say anything and by their silence be complicit, or rankly defend.
You know what?
The indefensible.
You know what? And permit me to wear the apostolic hat, not being religious in essence here. Ghana needs a revival of morality.
Amen.
Honestly, we've plummeted to a place and it makes me emotional, very painful. Pain. At 51, I can't believe that this is the Ghana. We're people who I know. I've been to university with them. I've chatted with them when they were outside of the PPP circle. And now they justify immorality. And this is okay. This is like, hush, be cool over here. Don't fight this.
Yeah. And the inconvenience of, for example, Adriana's case.
Right.
They just wish it would go away. Like, go away. Because it holds a mirror up. And it requires that you confront that which is in you. Because all of them are fathers, most of them.
Right.
Got children. And they know for a fact that they would move heaven and earth to protect their children.
They told me that.
But the inability to grow a backbone and to stand up and to say this is wrong. The PPP thrives, corruption thrives, fear thrives, because they know for a fact that they can dog whistle, they can invoke racism, and immediately people close ranks. And I'm going to address a very thorny issue because I've heard people say this time and time again. Black people don't know how to stick together. Look at the PPP. Inherent in that is a couple of things. Is that only black people support that? No, only Indian people support the
Exactly.
Yeah. We can talk frank because we're coming up to these elections.
Yes, we need to.
Right? Inherent in that is that paradigm. And that is deleterious in its effect. And it feeds back into what is killing us in the first place, which is the ethnic voting that has dogged us. Look at Suriname just next door.
That's
they
right.
have the same ethnicity mix. They are far more multicultural, multiracial than even we are. But you know what they did? They restructured their political system.
That's it.
So that everybody needs everybody to get into government. So that the current government right now is not there because they won the majority of seats. They could not form the government without these smaller parties. And so now you have one set of party in a certain ministry, another set managing a certain ministry, and of course the larger ones form the block of government and of the executive. So they realized that the political system had to accommodate their multi-ethnicity, their multiculturalism, because by forcing people into two camps, you perpetuate this race-based ethnic tension, because the Afro-Guyanese who goes into the PPP gets a hard time. Leno Craig.
Oh my God.
Vindy said, the former AFC, no, Vindy, he is yours.
He's a PPP member.
Is he on the list?
Exactly.
He's yours, but he's a
AFC.
Former AFC. So you distance yourself with that.
Yes.
Indo-Guyanese in the afternoon. Get hell. Get hell. They don't talk about these things. Get hell. Are viewed as traitors. Because why? We are constantly and consistently being forced into camps, and we have to break that. And we got to talk about it. Because when we continue this ethnic fighting down here, meanwhile, our lands are being brought out by foreigners. Meanwhile, the PPP, friends, family, and favorite are making off like bandits. Meanwhile, we're giving our passports to people from God knows where, connected to God knows who, and they're Guyanese citizens because of how just corrupt and lax we are. But we are the battle hate fighting about who's Indian and who's black and who ain't thing, keeping us locked in that. And it is a distressing thing, because if we can only look up, if we can only look up and see that we can have a quality of life where if a man works, he is rewarded, where if a woman is able to reach her full potential, this country will be one of the most prosperous on earth. I cannot understand how you get joy as a normal, rationalized, actualized human being from seeing your neighbor with hope, or from her. It doesn't compute to me. No. And so we need a revival of the soul of this nation. We're losing our soul.
And this is where not part of campaigning, but a wheel speaks to that innovation, that drive to change the world. Where someone said, you know what? I could get around faster, work easier, and the world was revolutionized because of a wheel. And the deliberate nature, I spoke to somebody about the spokes here. It gives form to a wheel, it gives stability to a wheel, and that's what Guyanese are. We would have to give stability to our nation to move in reference of politics, the nation forward. And back to this matter in the court, where a Guyanese, a female, felt that she had the right to be represented. She had the right to request of the court and put absolute confidence in the legal system to say that though the accusation to the court is compromised, she's saying she still has some degree of faith that there will be a ruling in this matter that gives direction to GECOM and direction to all in Guyana. And fortunately for Guyana, would have been chosen yet again to have a candidate who would raise this concern. But you said something about other parties that should, and I believe so indeed, have a vested interest in this matter and even join. And let me stretch it further, even maybe APNU. Because it shows maturity to say, listen, although we don't have the problem, we see a problem. And we want there to be clarity. Now, is there rationality to what I'm saying here?
You can join. There's join there to a cause of action. There's scope there. Just like how the Attorney General could intervene, other people could join.
Right.
Indigenous organizations may want to join, because what you're seeing is that the people most directly affected by this are indigenous populations.
Yes.
Because if you put it together, regions 1, 2, 7, regions 1, 2, 7, 8, and 9 are the 5 regions affected by this, because the ALP, for example, is competing or is not competing in 4 regions.
Right.
We're not competing in 3. And when you add those, the total population of those regions together, you are saying in excess of 100,000 Guyanese being disenfranchised by not being able to vote for the party of their choice. And the disrespect in that is what I got a problem with. Because you're saying this is what you're going to eat. This here is all that you got, and you're going to put up with it. That's it. This is the menu for you. This is the menu. When it is said that you have to compete nationally.
Right.
So, we will keep you posted on what's happening. We reconvene tomorrow at 9 for arguments. And I understand the frustration. People believe that the courts are stacked. People believe that the PPP has spotted the courts and there's a lot of nihilism or don't even bother. We will not roll over and die. we will not just allow it to go and challenge because we believe that there is no hope. These matters must be clarified.
Yeah, they should be. And I want to share with you and hear your view on this, where I met with some European Union observers, and I think a genuine question was asked because of the uniqueness or the boldness, as it may appear, of foreign Ghana movement. Well, of course, of a candidate of ours. And the question was, you're a new group, you're a new party, new movement, and here you are approaching the court, or a candidate of yours approaches the court, in what could really shape the nation reference to these elections. Is it just for clout? You just want to show people that you're there and you can just have some attention? I answered the question. Of course, I responded that that's not the case, but I'd like for you to speak to that. If that's being said, where this is just attention seeking, as Barb said, and I heard it in terms of question, because persons don't believe, and I gather that they don't believe that there can be a very, very clear ruling in this matter, and I think that should never be a thought in the first place, because it's simple to me. But in your view, why would that question be asked of us? Do you expect justice indeed or truth, or do you just want to have just clout and say, well, yeah, we approach a court and have some legacy of seeing challenge something?
You know, and it's a sad question. I'll say that. The question in and of itself is sad, and it might be a resignation to what even that particular observer might have witnessed in terms of this. But like I said, there has to be a generation of Guyanese who's going to say, you know what, we're not just going to go quietly into the midnight. We are going to stand up. We are going to speak up. And we are going to be counted as men and women who, when it mattered the most, were able to stand up to these bullies. They are bullies.
Yes.
And in the history of every nation, and that observer might have come from a more developed nation, an older democracy. I'm sure when they look back, they will see men and women along the path of history who at the time were told, yeah. But because of their action, it sparked something in the nation that set the nation on the proper trajectory. Right now, we are not on the proper trajectory. And so, thank God, in foreign movements, we little thick-skinned. And so, you know, I see these social media attacks. I understand very clearly that we don't care. It does not move us. So you could talk from now until the cows come home. See us talk about me beating up some husband that I had, all kinds of foolishness.
You name it, they say.
You know.
You name it, they
and
say.
so, listen, you talk until the cows come home. We're not going to be deterred. We're not going to be moved. And any Guyanese who wants to be serious will make sure that they interrogate these things instead of just spewing foolishness. So we put the trolls on notice. Y'all don't bother us. Because I tell you, the greatest deliverance I ever had was from the weight of people's opinion. That's something I don't wear.
Right, I like that.
You understand what I'm saying?
I love it. Yeah.
So when Jack Deal talks about you doing this for attention and clout, why? I could be home in my garden tending my plants.
Yes.
But there has to be something that compels you. Do you think people, serious people, put themselves up for public office because it's a fad?
No, I didn't. I was compelled. I didn't put myself in this.
Do you understand what I'm saying? It's not a fad. This is something inside of you says that you have to do it. And you can't live with yourself if you don't do it. And so that is what this is. We know that it is the right thing to do, and we are happy with it just being the right thing to do. The majority don't have to agree.
Right.
But we know that it is the right thing to do. When you put yourself up for public office, you gotta contend with trolls. You gotta contend with the bots. You gotta contend with all of the gossip, the slander, the innuendos.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, I get told about my nails, my hair.
Oh,
I don't care. The people in my family love me and appreciate me. My dogs love and appreciate me.
And most Guyanese do.
And well, I hope. But you see the point?
Yeah.
You see the point? So we're going to change this country.
Yeah.
We gotta change this country. Our children can't live here like this.
No, and they're not stories, they're two occurrences that I would like to speak to and feel sharing before. One was a nomination day. As we were leaving, we were walking away. And your kids, I tell the truth, so it's not a case of throwing shade, I'm just telling the truth. Somebody from Wynn, wearing a t-shirt, I should say, from Region. He told me where he was from. Coincident, they don't live in coincidence, but just for the same conversation. He was from Region 9. And he said, I watched you. He didn't know where I was, but he saw me, he said, across London. And he came, shook my hand, a guy from England, he said, I'm Britain, I should say. He shook my hand, he said, I watch you all the time. And we watch you, we love what you do. And you know, please, I'm telling you the truth. He said, I will support you. And he said, I didn't know you were in this. Now, imagine he's in Region 9 now and he doesn't see me on the ballot.
He can't see me on the ballot.
That's the first one.
A lot of people are upset about it. I got calls from Bartica.
I was about to say I got calls from Bartica.
You see, there you go. Like, what's going on? We can't see you on the ballot.
Yeah.
So this goes to the rights of Guyanese. And it is a matter that has to be clarified. And we are just humbled that we are the group of people that can't see something wrong and shut people out.
Right.
So we...
Yeah, get it right.
GECOM got to get it right.
Yeah, they have to get it right.
GECOM got to get it right. Anil Nandla and his whole crew got to get it right. Have to get it right. And so, you know, we want to just encourage you guys, these people, speak up. Stand up.
That's what we encourage.
You've got to, the soul of this nation is on the line. We have to understand what we're up against here. For the first time in our country's history, we've had more than we have ever had in our lives.
Yes.
And everybody got to eat. Everybody got to eat, and it should not come at the expense of our souls and our convictions.
I agree with you.
And that is what's happening now. And so they catch these youngs, you know, who was it? Was it you that was telling me that a young man said that he got a contract? I can't remember who the person was. And he was talking about this contract and whatever. And then the person said to him, where do you buy your materials from? He's like, we gotta go here.
They tell you where you have to go.
Where do you think you gotta go there? He said, have you looked at the rate of that? And have you compared it to some other vendor, etc.? He said, no, me got to do that. Apparently the man took it to heart and he went home and he called him back. He said, man, I get it robbed. These people shot. This is clearly these people just using us to pass money
through to somebody
else and giving us ravelings.
Yeah. And because I'm a contractor, I can speak to that.
Well,
you see where we're headed now, so just forgive us, but we go, that's how we are. It says when you're wise like Solomon or Solomon in the scripture, you speak to anything at any time because wisdom doesn't confine you to one space. Right? That's a fact. But I said one time, and they got mad at me. People they were livid. I said, what inspired Barajagio to suddenly want to build concrete roads at bottom? Today they don't want to answer because they know the answer. They get vexed. What made Barajagio suddenly figure out that concrete is the way to go? I'll tell you all what. He needs to tell us today what is his vested interest in concrete. Who owns the cement plant? Who owns the batching plants? Who is making the money from cement in Guyana?
Right, and not only that, who owns the testing facilities that are passing the mediocre concrete stress testing?
If I own the batching plant and I own the testing facility, how can I feel myself?
Okay.
And how could somebody pick up the phone and come and say, how dare you fail my road? Because the minister calling out the same. You can't fail my road because the road was right. And so we need to understand these things.
And why is it that the relief for steel and cement for first-time homeowners can only be redeemed at certain places?
You see, these are the uncomfortable truths about which we spoke, or the inconvenience truth. And that is why Guyana needs forward Guyana movement. I'm in it and I'm telling you why you need it. Because if other parties can come step forward and say what we're saying and defend what we're saying or do what we're doing, then life is easy. But somebody has to do it and somebody has to be hated for it, and I'm happy to know that I'm sitting beside one who's called a sister of mine. Why do I say that? Because if we see our country as a family of people, then you call each other out like at the dinner table and say, Barrett, you're wrong, because you're a brother, but you're wrong. Well, right, okay.
We get the point.
Right. We can say that. And we can talk at the table. That's how we need to be. We have one family table called Guyana.
Yeah.
We have one home called Guyana. And if you see each other's family, then your family tell you the truth.
Yeah.
You're wrong or you're right. We deal with this and we move on. And that would engender a better Guyana for us. The second experience I had, or was reported to me, is last night when our team would have been headed back to Region 6, they stopped to get some refreshments and so on. And two, and it speaks to the uncomfortable truth here again. The perception is if you're Indian, you're PvP. If you're of East Indian, so that people behave in Guyana. So they said that they passing through the flags. Of course, like you run one village, all the flags and the paraphernalia says, don't come here. This is our zone. So they said they saw two young men approaching them, looking quite interested in what they were doing. And these two young brothers of East Indian said, we need two flags. So they began to wonder now if they want to tear the flag up in front of them and misbehave and stamp the flag like the two shouts. So they said, the guy said, we need t-shirts too. So our candidates were wondering now, what's happening here tonight? Why would these two young men in this community come to us asking us for flags, asking us for t-shirts, asking for paraphernalia? They said, give us posters, give us handouts, give us these things. And they said, why you want it? Because they have an interest in Forward Guyana. They said, we need something different. We love what's happening. The proprietor in the store said, the 49 to 51% wouldn't work. Why would you have 51% and you have all the same? So one of our candidates said, you sound as if you follow, he said, yes, I follow what you're doing. Because he was speaking to others in the shop saying that the nature of our politics must change. So that space in which our candidates found themselves yesterday, when they called me, they were so encouraged by the fact that Guyana's culture is changing and the race baiting isn't working. Because Guyanese are now seeing themselves as Guyanese. And whoever stands for Guyanese is what they support. It's why I believe in my heart that many Guyanese appreciate what you're doing, appreciate the stance that you've taken. You didn't cross the floor, you crossed the ocean. To say we make this different.
We have to, because if your life is going to count for something, Nigel, you've got to stand. You know, we passed this way but once, and you know, I tell people, and this is just a vulnerable moment. I am a very highly qualified woman. I could live a superb life any part of the world, but there is just something in me that refuses to give up on this country, that refuses to give up on the people of this country. And you know, as long as God gives me breath, I'm going to fight for Guyana. Because, hey, this is where we were born. You know, my ancestors were dragged here as were yours. Others came, but we end up here. So we have to make the best of this. And all we have to understand is live and let people be able to reach their full potential. And the last thing I will say before we sign off is this attitude that the PPP have of grinding people into submission.
Yes. Yeah.
I have seen the PPP grind people into submission, affect their businesses, affect their families, you know, shut them off economically. I remember when I first, when I was fired from the CAA, etc., and I was told, you know, you had to leave. I said, fine, I was going to open my private practice. Orders were given from the top that any business that wanted to come to Guyana couldn't use my firm. And you know, I'm very specialized. I specialize in outer space, aviation, and maritime.
Wow.
So, you know, my clients will be of a certain.
Of course.
You know, and so when people say you're doing this for clout and attention, like what? Are you serious? And I think as leaders, we don't speak about the sacrificial element of what we do enough. Because, you know, you think that somehow it's, I let people know, hey, hello, I do this for the love of this country and for the love of people.
Yes.
Because it's easy for me to flourish and prosper on the French Riviera somewhere. But we love this nation. We love this nation. We love the people of this nation. And so that is why we are here, and that's why we will continue to stand. And, you know, the people of Guyana, I hope that they see, they hear the message that we're bringing, and that they vote accordingly. I heard something from a young man, and if he's watching, I don't remember his name, but he did a live. He did a short clip, and he was talking about Forward Guyana movement. He said, when you survey the landscape, Forward Guyana has the strongest leadership. He said, I've been listening, I've been analyzing. He said, but it's a shame that they won't make it because the politics of Guyana doesn't accommodate that. And I felt sad, not for us, but for him. Because to resign yourself that this is how it must be, and not to understand that I have the power to make it so with this hair.
Your voice.
Is painful.
Yeah.
To say that, oh, you know what? Well, they're good. They got the best offering. And then, so Guyanese got to understand it is only over until you resign yourself into it. And you make a very cogent point. If you don't vote for the people they can't
They
win.
will not.
Conversely, if you vote for Forward Guyana, we will.
That's right. That's right.
This is not a fait accompli by any means. And so I want to encourage us to do something we've never done. We've got to have something we've never had. We've got to do something that we have never done. That we've never done. And so this is not resignation. This is not, oh, it is always so, what are we going to do? We have the power to do something about it. And come September 1, that is what we must do. Because the future of this nation is at stake, Jones. It's at stake. And so we want to thank you all so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
We appreciate you. We are grateful for your support. Continue to spread the word. Continue to say to people that if you want change, the wheel, look for this logo, this symbol on the ballot paper and put your eggs there, because we are the credible choice for anybody. And you know, I heard one young man saying the only party he could vote with a clear conscience is for Guyana movement. And we don't have the vote of us say, if you give us your vote of confidence and we don't do what you expect us to do, vote us out next time.
Please do.
Because that's how it is.
Yes.
You know, but do not be held by the shackles of the past. And I'll end by saying this. I heard one person in me crying us saying, oh, for Guyana movement doesn't have the institutional capacity to govern. And I'm like, you know, as a woman that has functioned at the highest levels of government in a technical function, that person clearly doesn't understand how government works.
Exactly.
Because to say that, they clearly do not have an understanding of how government works. Because a Forward Guyana movement will see an approach that this country has never seen before. We are allowed to bring in technocrat ministers.
Exactly.
We are allowed to hire the best and the brightest. And they must understand that for Parliament, you don't have to be a doctor, lawyer, and so I notice people talking about who have PhDs.
Right,
the Parliament is the people's house, and it is expected to reflect the people.
Yes, yes, yes.
So we need the vendor, we need the teacher, we need the woman farmer, all of them we have on our list that can stand and that can talk for people. But you see, the mindset that we've had is that the ministers are somehow the people who, you know, that is not true. That's not true.
Yeah.
Sovereignty belongs to the people of Guyana who express that through their duly elected representative. It means that the house must look like the people of the nation. And so to suggest that we can't have the capacity is to betray a lack of understanding about what governance is. Because the PPPC administration simply uses the state machinery. That's it.
Yeah. That's all they
That
do.
is all it is.
That's all they do.
And so you bring in technocrat ministers, and I will say this, the Forward Guyana movement, Nigeria, and you know this, our paradigm is simple. If you are good, you will serve the people of Guyana, come on board. We don't business if you're APNU, if you're PPP, if you're PNC.
Service to the nation.
Service to the nation. And so a Forward Guyana movement government will see the best and brightest from all walks and all political spheres. As long as you can come here and you can serve the people of Guyana, you are welcome. Because there's some good people in the ranks.
Of course.
Of all parties. And oh my God, can you imagine what Guyana would be if for once you have a government that says we are willing to reach across the aisle and pull the best and brightest. We're going to fight in Parliament about the implementation. We're going to fight about how we deliver the best to the people of Guyana.
Yes.
But at all times, it's not about who is best or who is best. It is about how we get the best to the people of Guyana. And that is the governance paradigm that we want to bring. So, the real people.
You see, we have to be here all day. For most of it, as the judge said today, he's committing all of tomorrow to this matter, and I'm really enthused by that. Because what you said is so important. I was having a conversation with a journalist who was really interrogating all of the offerings in reference to youth and sports and so on. And I said that it is our view that ministries like sports should be run by technocrats. You don't tell me because some of these young youth become ministers of sports. Look at Ramsey. Let me say no. Sports is a business. People have to understand that. And we must also understand that for you to function in the area of sports, you must not have political change on your neck.
Right.
Be one who understands sports, you train in it, you're qualified in it, and you're a technocrat. So you don't owe us any loyalty in reference to.
And you see talent and you develop that talent irrespective of where it comes from. Because at the end of the day, it is a Guyanese talent.
Yes.
And so a healthy offering of technocrat ministers.
Oil and gas, technocrat.
Absolutely.
We need
a petroleum
definitely.
commission.
That's right.
From day one will be put in place.
Yes.
Because oh my God, Guyana has to win, man.
Yes.
Oh my God, Guyana has to win. We have some of the most competent people all over the world languishing out there. And because their hair might look like mine, or they might have said something against the PPPC government if they're Indo-Guyanese, they have been left out there. And so there's no knowledge transfer, there's no knowledge remittance. We will revolutionize all of that. And we will make sure that the ministries function technically, personally. The entire management structure of the ministries have to change.
I agree.
There has to be the PS is so overburdened. Right? Yeah. And the PS, the PS was a person of stature.
Oh yes, not toys of ministers.
Not toys of ministers. They were the people who said, no minister, this can't
happen. That's right. Yeah, the PS.
Now you got PSs that helping the ministers to be corrupt. And the ministers want the PSs that were.
They choose. Give me this one.
Listen to me.
I like that one.
Give us 1 year.
Yes.
And you will see proper governance.
Different Guyana.
In this country.
Yeah.
We have done our part by making ourselves available. Now it is for you to make the choice. Because the people get government that they deserve. And our team is telling us to make one last pitch. We have to defend our vote and ballot.
Yes.
And so we need people who will volunteer to be polling day workers for us. If you could, by this afternoon, send your name and your number to the WhatsApp attached to this Facebook. What's the number? I will give you the number in 1 minute. But one of the things that as a newer movement we are challenged with is you require in excess of 3,000 personnel to man each polling station for September 1. And we're not afraid to say to you that we do not have the bandwidth to do that. But we know that there are enough Guyanese who are passionate for change and who want to be a part of it. And I will add, it is important for you to participate in your democracy.
Yes, please.
This is an opportunity for you to get to understand how polling works, what ballot paper looks like, what is the role of the presiding officer, etc. So if you want to volunteer, you could WhatsApp your name as it appears on your ID to 701-5988 or 617-0244. We need your help on elections day.
Say it again for me, please.
701-5988 5988 617 0244. And even if you are in a region that we are not contesting in, submit your name.
Yes, please.
Because one of the smaller parties may also need your help. And we have no bones about saying, reach out to us and we will channel you to them.
Yes.
Because that's just the spirit in which we operate. So 701-5988 and 617-0244, and you send your name and which region you're from, and once you do that, we will channel you to the relevant our team leading those regions. And even if you are in 7, 8, and 9 and you want to volunteer as well, we will channel you maybe to the AFC, to the ALP, and you know where they may need those numbers, because again, this is about defending the ballot. This is about making sure that there is no jiggery-pogery there and your eyes are there. And once you submit your name, we will have regional training for you later in this week, so that you're not just going in there without the knowledge of what you're expected to do, but you'll be trained and equipped. We are passionate about making sure that we build capacity in our citizens.
Yes.
So sign up and we'll be happy to channel you in the right direction.
I really love that, and because I've done quite a few live broadcasts leading up. Sometime your family spoke to elections, and I've been asking guys, now we are doing it. Be actively involved in the election process, not vote and go home and that's it. Be actively involved. Don't make disturbances outside the polling stations, none of that. But once you see the time is winding down for them to begin to move ballots and so on, make it your duty to stand, even if it's on the outside, and watch, observe what's happening, and pay careful attention to certain things that you consider to be unusual, if possible, and you're allowed to do it. Stand off, but have your phones in hand. Be ready, because we don't know what will happen on this day. We want to police a ballot to ensure that every vote for us, not for Guyana movement, for Guyana, is credible and valid. We know what Anil said. I know the name is coming up often this morning, but it's for reasons that you have created. We have observers in our nation who believe that you can have a ballot box with no statutory document in it, and every ballot in there is credible, valid. That's the kind of insanity that pains my father, really, because he to know that we plummeted to that kind of space is bad. So we're asking our Guyanese brothers and sisters to volunteer, to come forward. And this is not about how much you can be paid, because patriotism goes beyond money. We're in a space now whereby, do I love my country enough is the question to be asked, to work and do whatever it takes just for one day, not even an entire day, to ensure that Guyana is safe and Guyana is back in the hands of Guyanese. That's what this is about. So I appreciate that pitch, or that cry, that clarion call for Guyanese, and they're doing it. I spoke yesterday, and people have already begun to respond. They tell me, Apostle, I've called. I've reached out. They're ready to do this. Some of them have said they're ready to go right now, because Guyanese have seen, and I'm happy they've done so, the cause and the threat that our democracy faces under this regime, and under quiet opposition leaders. That's just the truth. We are loud, and we will not go quiet. We are loud. Call us what you want. We remain loud. We remain courageous. We remain people who love our country enough to fight for her.
Absolutely.
So thank you so much, Master Presidential Candidate.
Thank you, my brother.
It's an honor to sit here with you. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, the case will be heard, and hopefully we'll be back to tell you that justice has prevailed.
This is
and Guyana will change.
Absolutely. And so now we shed the suits, because we have to put on sneakers and hit the ground. I think we're heading into the market. We're heading into Starbuck Market. So if you're live and you're seeing this, Starbuck Market, we're coming your way with the message of hope, with the message of change. Love you guys, and we'll talk with you. We'll let you know what happens tomorrow.